Hello, this is not about rigging but character animation, and I want to show you in this tutorial not how to create a character or animate it really, because that's far beyond a 10-minute or whatever tutorial. I recommend you to search the web for rigs, free Maya, for example. Later, when you work for a company, it's a matter of a few dollars or euros, sometimes 100, for a lot of work which other people have put into rigging or creating a character, which are easy to use for you. So when you're in a project of a couple of thousands of euros and need to rig or animate a certain creature, you might really consider not building it yourself, but trying to animate it and get it from somewhere else, maybe with a paid license for 100 euros or whatever. Anyway, this is free Nico for Maya 1.1.0, so it's not the very first version of this thing. And it is under an MIT license, whatever that is. 17,000 people have downloaded it, and I found it on highend3d.com. Highend3d.com is a very old, and that doesn't mean anything bad, but a very early channel and internet website for 3D computer animation. I regularly visited it 10-15 years ago. Now I've come back and I see that my account still works, signed in successfully, because you need to sign in with some kind of identity in order to download this creature here. And the creature is a quadruped. Here it walks a little bit. I'm not really convinced about the walk cycle, but it does a fairly good job really. And what we can do is we download this rig. It comes in a zip file, and when we open it, there's a Maya binary file in there, and I just imported it into the new version of Maya. It is from 2010, so it's quite old, and it feels a little bit older than most of the current models and creatures. Anyway, it may look a little bit threatening, not because the creature is so threatening, but because there are so many controls here. What I want to show you in this tutorial is you can download tons of 3D models, quadrupeds, bipeds, etc., male, female characters, etc., and they all come with some sets of controllers and objects which you need in order to animate them. And what I want to do is I show you through. This is pretty typical really. It's confusing and you have to get your thoughts organized a little bit, so you find what is what, and then you can start animate it. Anyway, how do we look at this thing? If we pick the ground floor, we can move the whole creature back and forth, but we see that the facial icon stays where it is. I don't know why that is, but okay, it's we don't need it here. It's just a placeholder for animating the face, and I'll show you this right away. Let's pick this tiny icon here. Lots of color changes here in the referencing nodes, and look at the face of that creature when I move this up and down. Okay. I cannot move it to the left or right. I have to learn about all this. So if we pick both of them, it gets this into a different mood, so to say. Of course, you can animate that. In fact, we can animate it. We go to frame 1 and press the key S, which animates the translate X position of this one. And we go to the end of the animation, press the key S as well, again, and in the middle we go a little bit down. That's all we do. Press S again. We could use auto key, so we wouldn't have to press S again and again, but this is for tutorial reasons. This is better to have it not on. So we press the keys individually, and you see here how the creature face changes. Now that's for the face, and of course here you have this thing here, the cheeks or whatever. You can animate all that, of course. I've opened the mouth. I think the model comes with a closed mouth, and this is this controller, this little handle here. And the jaw can be controlled, obviously, according to the icon, in different directions, and like this. But you run into problems with polygon modeling here, of course, and intersections, so you have to be careful about it. And the tongue, let's see if we can do anything with the tongue. Here we have a handle, and we can rotate it up and down, and we can move it. Oh, sorry. Let's pick that, and we can move it back and forth, and maybe we can use this one as well. Yeah, so the tongue can play quite a role in this animation. How about the head? The head is here. This looks like the head controller. Yes, it is. Look what's happening to the eyes. And look what's happening from the side. The neck stretches, which it usually doesn't do with ordinary creatures because we have bones and the bones are not stretchable. But in most computer animated movies we have, of course, creatures which stretch, become like a giraffe or whatever. And you see the eye problem here, which is not really a problem, but because the eyes always fixate that object here. So if we move both of them up and down, the eyes stay intact and they stare to the same point, at the same point. And since this seems to be the eye controller, yes it is, we can animate this as well. Let's do this for a change. Go to 1, set the keyframe, set a keyframe at the end, set a keyframe somewhere in the middle, and it looks there and down. Keyframe. Now let's get a little bit closer to the creature, and so we have a double animation now in the scene. What else can we do? What is this, for example, here? This has to do with a muscle here. We can move it to the side as well. What is this thing? This controls the shoulder. Can we rotate it? We sure can. And here you see that the skeleton has inverse kinematics built in, which means when I rotate this, the paw still sticks to the ground, which is absolutely necessary. Because if it would move now, the whole animation would be totally different and unnatural. We have the same for the back here. And of course we have the controls for the feet. Let's move it forward like this. This is inverse kinematics at its best. It's called inverse kinematics because it's not forward. We don't rotate each bone in the skeleton, but the whole chain reacts. The abbreviation is IK, so it's called an IK handle, what we're actually moving here. We can move different IK handles together, of course, like this. And this is the way you create a walk cycle, for example. So, and the tail, of course, it's all understandable. So all of a sudden, if we slowly look what's all in there, we can understand how this model was designed by a chap called, what is his name again? Chad MV. So ChatMV did a very good job with 3.73 megabyte. It's really very small amount of data for such a complex creature. I don't know if it's really current, and animation has changed so dramatically, the workflow in Maya, so that this skeleton and this model could be easily updated and be less complex to animate. But in any case, it's good to know what such a creature is made of in the computer animation, and don't feel intimidated by it. It's all pretty simple as soon as you understand what each control means.